One thing that Officer Hodges said at the end was that, he was asked, why didn't you fire back at them? And he said, there were more than 9,000 of them. There were just a few hundred of us. We would have lost that fight, and this was a fight that we could not afford to lose. Because it was a fight to save the Republic, is the unspoken addenda there.
Right. It was absolutely. All right, Andrew Mitchell, I know you've got to get going. I will let you go. I appreciate that.
Lower the volume on them. Keep the visual there. And I want to respond to the question that was asked of Officer Hodges about why didn't they fire their weapons upon that assault upon the Temple of Democracy. And his response, as you heard it, and I'm kind of paraphrasing it, is that had they done that, they would have lost because it was more than 9,000 of those assaulters out there that day. And it probably would not have ended well had they opened fire. They could have been firing from the crowd as well. That you don't know, but I would want to say this. Just a couple of things is that, and I want to say this in the context of understanding racism, that had that 9,000 or 10,000 or 15,000, whatever it was, number of rioters and assaulters of the Temple of Democracy on the 6th of January, had they been Hamites, then that's to call them black, and I'm trying to move away from that, and I want to just keep using the term Hamite interchangeably with the word black until all persons globally understand when I say Hamites, I'm talking about people who normally have been referred to as Negroes or blacks. But had they been black and carrying flags that said Black Power, or and would have been as aggressive, the same amount of aggressiveness, the same amount of beating the living snot out of those police officers, beating them over the head with fire extinguishers, poking them with sticks and every other kind of instrument, and taking their shields and trampling on them. Had those assaulters been black, they would have been shot. But I want you to understand something. Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Don't think that somehow or another that I am using this in a racist term. I want you to understand something. They would have been shot. There would have been some shooting. And if the Capitol Hill Police and the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police had extra heavy equipment down in the basement somewhere, they would have called for it. And the East Capitol and the West Capitol would have been littered with bodies had they been black. But hold on a second now. Hold on a second. Just hold that thought for just a second. Let me say this. I don't think that these police officers, and many of them were Hamites themselves, understood as it was developing just how serious it was at the time. And so therefore, you shoot when you realize there is absolute danger of life. And at one point, it may have looked like they were just rioters, or they were just, and maybe shooting, even though they were Japheth and not Hamites, may not have been the appropriate thing. That's a very weak presentation. But let me tell you why I don't think they shot, and what I think will grow out of this. The police officer didn't shoot because they were Japheth. Now, you can say that's racist. If I can't change your mind about the tenor of racism or the significance of the level of racism, I'm good to go. But I just want to, all I require of you is just you listen to me. You see, the Hamites, black people, have a long-standing reputation of riotous behavior, from the riots of Detroit in the 1960s, the burning of Detroit, the riots in Los Angeles, the riots here in Harlem, the riots in Chicago, the burning and the looting, the days and days and days of rioting and burning and looting. The Hamites have built up a reputation of violent, riotous behavior. Now, Hamites have also built up, as I said the other day, that even Louis Farrakhan had over 1 million men down on the mall down there in front of the Lincoln Memorial, and it was a peaceful event. No one was shot, no one was arrested. Over 1 million men down there, Hamite men, and nobody arrested. And there have been other marches on Washington, but there have been other events. And Hamites have brought to themselves a reputation of riotous and violent behavior. And so the response for police officers is to start shooting first and ask questions. You can say that's racist. I will not take that away from you, but I want to tell you where it grows from, where it comes from. That all things being equal, had there never been a riot, and this was a first, by the way, had there never been any riots in America, any looting, any burning, no mobs that ever attacked anything before, black or white, if black folk had done that, they would not have been shot. If they had stormed the Capitol, they would not have been shot. I can tell you that. Because the officers guarding the Temple of Democracy would not have thought, in terms of their background. Well, let me put it to you this way. If you go into a Hamite neighborhood, they call them ghettos, or you can call it a black community. Can I ask you a question, just as if you were a Hamite, for instance? Are you a tinge more concerned about your safety, or the safety of your family and children on streets and ghettos, especially if it's not your own neighborhood? Are you concerned that potentially something could happen to you, and so you're a little bit more tense? However, if you go into an exclusively, if you will, Japheth neighborhood, even as a Hamite, you let your guards down a little bit. Is that true? Is that true? Is that true? Well, that's exactly what happened on the 6th of January in terms of whether they should have fired on that group or not. Now, you may not like that explanation. You may not like that as a truth. But one other thing I can tell you is because of the behavior patterns, the historical behavior patterns that have been associated with Hamites as opposed to Japheth, is what dictated whether to shoot or not. But I can tell you this, and you can take this one to the bank. From now on, when Japheth people get more than 25 of them together in one group, and they start marching on anything, police gonna bust a cap on them. Police ain't gonna let them beat the hell out of them the way they did there on the 6th of January. That's last time. And that was 2 times. That was a 2-time event for the Japheth. That's for the white boys. That's a 2-time event. That was the first time and the last time. They try that one more time, beating the hell out of police with sticks and everything. Police gonna bust a cap on them. Gonna shoot them till they can't shoot them no more. They say that was 2 times, but you ain't gonna never see that no more. Because now they got a reputation, just like the Hamites, just like the black people. They got a barbaric, riotous, violent reputation, and they've shown what the hell they can do. That's over. Next time you're gonna be met with bullets. Next time you march, make sure you're prepared to deal with the issues. I want to ask you to come up close for just 1 second. And I want to talk to 3-year and older veterans of the Trust in the Lord Hour, the Open Rewards Prayer Meeting, the Manna Report, and the Pulpit of Power, those 4 ministries that we do every week, producing at least 20 different ministries or sermons every week. If you are a 3-year or older veteran, by old I mean 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, 12 years, older veteran of any of these ministries that we do on a daily basis every week, and you are not a supporter, you've not joined with the ministry to give to pledge your support and your alignment with what we've been teaching. My question is why? You've had 3 years to observe us. You've had 3 years to listen to us on a daily basis, all weekend, all day long, any hour of the day. We're broadcasting. You've had 3 years to watch our various successes. You've 3 years to watch our ups and downs. You've had 3 years to listen to the tenor or the consistency of what we have said, whether we are consistent or whether we're all over the chart in what we do and what we believe. You've had 3 years to watch people around us who have made the commitment to join with our ministry in church and to financially support it. And by the way, I want to give another shout out to Brother Jesse Munoz out there in San Bernardino, along with Goldfinger, who is just extraordinary giver, and others that do extraordinary giving to our ministry. My question is to you, if you are a 3-year veteran or older, why haven't you joined? Why haven't you committed? And I suppose some of the reasons would say, well, Pastor Man, I belong to another church. And why? How could you, after 3 years of hearing me teach about the Sabbath, about righteousness, about the tribulation, and listen to me faithfully as you do, and still go sit up in another pastor's face? How could you be? It's like a woman sleeping with 2 men. You know, one she likes during the week and the other she likes on the weekend. It's hypocritical. How could you do that? I mean, let's say you started 3 months ago. I can understand. Well, it may take you some time to evaluate. It may take you some time to look at me, to discover, who I am. You say, well, Pastor, that's not that. I don't belong to another church or ministry. I'm with you. But there's some things you say I like, and there's some things you say I don't like. Why? Why is it that you've made a decision that there's some things that you don't like are stronger than the things that you do like? I am not a psychiatrist, but I am an analyst. And I have to tell you, I analyze the world, understanding. The understanding and wisdom tells me this, that if there are things that a person such as myself that I am saying, there is no room to disagree with what I am saying unless your purpose is to find something to disagree with. Let's say, for instance, you say, well, I like the fact that you talk about Obama, but I don't like the fact that you talk about Trump. Let's say, for instance, you're one of those, right? Well, the purpose, it isn't that you just like what I say about Obama, but don't like what I say about Trump. What it is that you are looking for a reason to support Trump. It isn't that you don't like it. It's just that you don't like the fact that I'm saying something about him. It isn't that what I'm saying is wrong. Let me put it that way. It isn't what I'm saying is wrong or indifferent. You know it's right. But you've lived your life, or you've come up, or you've been raised with a doctrine that you can really live in a false reality. That's where you are. You've been raised in a doctrine that you can live in a false reality. That is to say, you can like the truth about Obama, but you don't like the truth about Trump. And it's the same truth. It's the same truth. There's no difference. But because you have been indoctrinated to live in a false reality, you are really a person who needs psychological debriefing. But trust me, there are zillions of people around the world who live that way. There are people who know what I'm saying about Trump or Obama is right. They know it. But they choose to ignore it based on the fact that they find a reality that isn't true, and they've settled in there. Say, well, that's one of the reasons why I've not made a commitment, because, I don't like the fact, I wish you would support what I support. But the truth of the matter is, then why do you come? You've given 3 years or more of your life to listen to me? 3 years of your life to listen to me? And you're not tired of listening to me yet? And you've given 3 years of your life, and over the past 3 years, your life has been greatly upgraded. You've learned, you've been educated, you've been enlightened. And let me say this to you. If you make the commitment, say, well, Pastor, I'm joining with you, and I'm going to support, I'm going to do the tithe and offering, I'm going to do the first fruit, I'm going to keep the Sabbath, your life is going to soar. Now listen to me very carefully. Now I'm not going to leave you alone after this. Listen to me very carefully. You come as often as you come over the past 3 years because you're being helped. You're being educated. You're being enlightened. Right? Right. But the thing that you like, whether you say, well, I like what you say about Obama, but I don't like what you say about Trump. You do the same thing with the Word of God, such as you like the things I say, the teachings that I say, the way I explain the Bible, the way I break it all down and make it clear. But when it comes to things like money or tithing and offering or the Sabbath, well, that is also true, but because of your false reality, because you really need a psychological debriefing, because of your false reality, you choose not to believe the tithe or the first fruit or the Sabbath. Now, it isn't that it isn't true. It's as true as all the other things I've said. But you live in a false reality where you try to ignore the truth about the tithe, and so you don't do it. But everything else I say is good to go. Everything I ever say is good to go, good enough to share with your friends. It makes you laugh. It educates you. It enlightens you. But the tithe, well, and the full commitment to the ministry, well, the first fruit offerings, well, the Sabbath, that's all true as well. But you have chosen and you've been raised and indoctrinated to have a dual reality, which is dangerous. Jesus said this, and I'll leave you. He said, I would rather you be the hot or cold, but not lukewarm. You're lukewarm. You have a dual reality. He said, if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out of my mouth. I would rather you be completely stomped down against Pastor Manny, trying to take him down. Be fully against him. Be against him with all of your strength. Or be fully for him with all of your strength. But don't be in the middle, somewhere lukewarm. You're better than to be spit out of the mouth of Jesus if you're lukewarm. So what's it going to be? You're going to make the commitment and grow and be even greatly better blessed, or you're going to continue to walk in the lukewarm spit of the mouth of the Savior. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant.